Hello there folks and welcome back to the Lost Vikings and Heroes of the Storm. The Lost Vikings being the character that I really enjoy playing, kind of the only one almost. There are other characters I really like, but I only find the Vikings as, well, truly satisfying to play with, thanks to their mechanic that allows you to simply indirectly help the team. But this is also possible due to the game having a mechanic in which any experience gained by any member of the team is actually put towards the team's experience gained. So my purpose with the Vikings is to simply soak experience mainly. The problem with this champion is that there are so many characters in here that deal so much damage, and the Vikings, despite being 3 characters in one, they are so squishy that, well, anyone almost can pull them out of the team fight. That's why I usually don't take place in team fights that much. For the beginning of most games like this, players will usually fight on mid. In some of the games I usually have a lot of luck because people let me simply soak experience, and as you can see my team's level is a bit higher.
Hero slain.
So the point of the game is that at levels 1, 4, 7, 10, 13, 16 and 20 you gain a talent which is equal to items in other MOBA games. And the fact that the Vikings, if they are allowed to by the enemies, they can get experience for the team, means that now my team being level 4, they have access to a new talent, which is almost like having access to, being one item ahead of the enemies. Now, this may sound a bit OP, but, the point is the Vikings aren't hard to, pick and kill, especially if you're not paying attention to them, because you can control each of them separately. But thanks to the meta being so much about poke and, like quick kills, there's a lot of assassins that deal a lot of damage. You no longer keep the Vikings each on one lane. You simply keep two. Usually this is how I play. You can keep Eric, the one who has the longest range. You can keep them and fight in team fights, but it's enough that you take a CC that you're like instantly killed. So I disposed of the camp before it could destroy our base. Those siege camps can attack the defenses from beyond their range, and only the minions in time can kill those. But it does take a while, and, well, if you're not attentive they can actually kill your base. I use Olaf to go and simply contest the objective while I keep farming experience for the team. Not in all games do I manage to, get as much XP difference, but in many I actually do, but not all of them, I wanted to say. I do realize I can't simply beat Artanis, and that's why I leave with Olaf. I could have kept him there to keep the objective contested and hit the enemy's forts for as many of the bullets as possible, even sacrifice Olaf. But he's much more valuable farming experience, because when it comes to objectives, my team is 4v5, so they need the experience level. I'm much better if I give them extra experience rather than, giving experience to the enemy when one of my Vikings dies. When a Viking dies, they only give a quarter of their experience, but it's still experience for the team. The more enemies are around someone when they are killed, the more experience they gain. So that's how things seem. I'm not sure how the experience from kills and assists is given. Played this game since beta, but I've also taken great breaks. These are the experience orbs. You have to stand near them to simply pick them, but replays don't show the difference in between them because this is enemy experience. While you're playing, the enemy's experience orbs are shown in black. You can't pick those up. You only pick up yours and you increase the level of the team. Level means better stats. Not much, but you know, it's better to be greater levels than the enemy. Here I controlled Olaf and I didn't pay attention to this part. That's why the Vikings are difficult in a way to play. They're one of the characters with the highest learning curves in the game. Quite easy to play because their talents to pick, their talent choices are pretty straightforward, unless you learn how to make use of other less optimal choices and adapt with those. But initially there's only one straightforward build to play them, so that's not much of a problem. So right now I was concentrated on Olaf to pull him out of the danger. And then I moved towards the objective. I contest it. I allow a few shots to come to the enemy, towards the enemy, but obviously Artanis is never far away. He only needs to show up and, well, I can't do anything to him. May also came, so I triggered my move ability. Don't want to lose the Vikings because I'm more valuable alive. Now my team also has the ultimate, which they gain at level 10. Now the enemies also need to choose their ultimates, as you can see. So my purpose with the Vikings is to constantly keep the experience. I've had games in which my team was a lot lower in kills than the enemy, but the levels were still similar because of experience soaking. Now these are situations which I kind of don't like. I don't like it when people stay close to me and farm with me. The point in this game is that you don't need to farm. Experience is gained per team, so no one is left behind in terms of experience. I saved Olaf from there with my ultimate, and obviously you need to flex about that, because why not? And then I decide to take a camp. But, well, someone else did. I send Olaf on a different lane. You can use shift to give multiple commands to your characters and they will actually do those commands, including teleport to base. Like you can have them move to a direction, teleport base and then give them another movement. It doesn't matter how many movements you give, they keep those in mind. What did actually happen in here? So the enemy is taking this camp, the bruiser camp. These mercenaries, once beaten, you hire them and they push the lanes. So now Olaf actually has to deal with those. Meanwhile they kind of ignore me, which technically shouldn't happen. This game has very good split pushers, characters that are good at pushing lanes, and usually you don't want to forget about those.
Soon they shall bask in hero slain.
Now the last two talents, level 16 and level 20, are usually the power spike of many characters. So that's why with the Vikings it was good that I would keep, doing this. And now I use the Vikings to simply take the objectives and try to get as many shots against the enemy until they get contested, but the enemies, well, they've been killed. I could see that there were 3 in here coming bot. Here it was kind of funny that there were more that came, but only the healer remained to keep it contested. Now they come back to contest it while I keep, farming the lane. 13, right? This level is when the enemies also got access to their level 13 talent, but I got 16 for my team, which is the power spike of some characters. Like for example Orphea, well, it's the pre-last talent, so obviously it's an important power spike.
My temple's power has been expended. You are stronger than I believed.
Right, there are other team fights. I'm going top to push the lane because I see it abandoned. And obviously, pillage and plunder, that's how the Vikings go. They're not called the triple trouble for nothing. Here the team fight breaks. I wonder why. And obviously you run like a pussy when the enemy is around, because you basically don't want to fight anyone. There is a damage build, but I usually don't want to use it, because, well, nowadays there are too many characters that have CCs, and for some reason there's a lot of CCs in enemy teams when you're fighting with the Vikings, and you're easy to pick. I can use 2 Vikings to simply farm these camps, starting from level... You can even start at level 5, but preferably at level 7, when you also have spin to win, basically your core ability. And now I'm moving towards the objective.
My magic flows through the temples. Guardians, do not let these mortals
I did soak the experience globes that were for me. Send Olaf away. I see that mid is now open. Obviously the healer is the only one left. Really? So I come with the 2 Vikings to support those. The enemies also got their level 16 ability. When you defeat all the 5 guardians, the other shots are automatically claimed by you, if I remember correctly. So the team was farming 2 lanes in here, I was also farming one. One top and one here. The objective is taken, so a lot of damage was dealt to the enemy.
Until I choose otherwise.
But that's one of the points with the Lost Vikings. You need to create as much trouble for the enemy as possible, and you need to pressure the other lanes when the enemy is, busy with the objective. Because if you do a lot of pressure, if you lose the objective early, it's not gonna be much of a problem, as the objectives aren't as bad early. They are very annoying late game when they hit harder usually, or the damage that you can cause is much greater.
Hero slain.
So now I turn back to, farming. We already reached level 20. Here is the last talent that you can get. So
Hero slain.
up from here only the level difference differs, because higher level means better stats than the enemies. Also level 20 is the power spike of the Vikings. Here is when you actually can really push like mad. And now that all the lines are pushed, well, it's kind of a little problem for the Vikings, because you don't have much else to do. I pinged the DA team that they're actually in here. Ouch. Wait, I really want to see that. Ah, okay. Ah, so they engaged it in here. Ah, so Artanis wasn't much of a great HP. Ah, okay. I did withdraw in here because Lily's ultimate heals quite a lot, and I can barely out-damage that heal. Ran away from there because it wasn't good for me to stay. Too many enemies around. I re-engaged the boss because I didn't want it to reset its HP.
Hero slain.
And here it was only a matter of, of time. The team simply contested this objective, we contested this one. That's why the objectives, they aren't critical. Yes, they are critical, but the point is, if you lose them early, it's not the most critical thing. Sometimes you kind of have to trade them, and that's what the Vikings are for. It's always a trade. Your team being 4v5, they'll most likely lose some of the team fights, especially if you're playing with random people. You'll also be blamed a lot, because obviously why not?
Red team
And
is
well, that's kind of how things are. You'll be blamed a lot, or well, maybe or not. More or less, it doesn't matter. I usually don't get blamed for mistakes, but the point is we all have our own mistakes. That's the point of these videos, to see if plays were made, mistakes were made, and simply learn from them.
epic.
And well, that's kind of it for this video. I'll be coming up with others. All these being said, well, hopefully you've enjoyed this one. You are appreciated. Take care. Ferenjan Bohr signing out.